All right, let's look at our lesson on translating word phrases into algebraic expressions. Okay, we do this all the time in life, actually, almost every day. You probably find yourself doing this kind of thing without even thinking about it. But some reason when it comes to seeing them written on paper like this in a math class, and we freak out. So let's look at how we can break this down. All right, so the method I'm going to use is I'm going to look in my phrase and I'm going to look for any numbers or variables and I'm going to circle them. Okay, so I see an 8 and I see an X. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a word that might indicate what kind of math is happening. Okay, so the sum of 8 and X. Well, the is not a math word and can sometimes mean addition, but I see the word sum, okay? And the word sum means to add. So I'm going to add 8 and X. So my answer would just be 8 plus X. This would be an algebraic expression. We've turned that word phrase into that. Okay, let's look at the next one. I'm going to look for any numbers or variables. I'm going to circle them first. So I've got A and B. Okay, and then I'm going to look for keywords that might tell me what kind of math operation is happening. So I see the difference of A and B. I see the word difference. Difference tells me I'm going to be doing subtraction. Okay, and when we see the word difference like this, we're going to subtract left to right. So that means I'm going to put the A first, put my minus sign, and then I'm going to put the B. Okay, so this would be my algebraic expression of that word phrase. All right, next one. I'm going to look for any numbers or letters or variables, I should say, and I'm going to circle them. So I see X and Y. And now I'm going to look for any keywords that might indicate what kind of math is happening between these two variables. So twice the product of X and Y. Well, twice, that means 2 times. So I'm going to underline, that's a math thing. Product is also a math word, which means multiplication. Okay, so this tells me to multiply. This tells me also to multiply, and it's actually 2 times. Okay, so I'm doing twice of the product of X and Y. So I'm first going to start with product of X and Y. That looks like this, X and Y. There's my product. Okay, now I want 2 times. So 2 times X and Y. I could write a raised dot there in between, but I don't need to because side by side means multiplication. So my answer is just 2 times X times Y. All right, let's look at the next one. I want to look for numbers and variables. So I see an H and a 2. I'm going to circle them. And now I want to look for any keywords that mean something to do with math operations. The quotient of H and 2. So quotient, there's a math word. That means that we're going to divide. Okay, so the quotient of H and 2. So I'm going to read that from left to right, and I'm going to make my fraction from top to bottom. So the H comes first, divided by 2. I could have written this H divided by 2, but in algebra, we learned that we're moving away from this kind of division sign, and we want to start using the fraction bar most of the time instead. Okay, so this is a preferred answer to this word phrase. All right. The last one, the difference of X and the product of 5 and Y. So I've got a few variables and numbers here. I've got an X, a 5, and a Y. Okay, now I want to look for my math words. The difference of, well, difference is a math word. Remember that means minus. And the product of 5 and Y. Okay, so figuring out what order to do things can sometimes be tricky, but I'm going to break it apart here. I've got the difference of X and, so I'm going to have X minus something. And what am I going to minus? The product of 5 and Y. Well, product tells me to do multiplication. All right, not an X, but a times. So X minus, I want the product of 5 and Y. So 5 times Y. And in algebra, right side by side means multiply. So my algebraic expression of that word phrase is X minus 5 times Y. Now, it's okay that we don't know what these variables mean. We're not asked to solve them or evaluate them. All we're asked to do is to make an algebraic expression. An expression means there's no equal sign. Okay, if there's an equal sign, it's an algebraic equation, but none of these have equal signs, so these are algebraic expressions. And that's all we're asked to do, is just turn it into math. And that's it.